Right, now we're rolling. Again, hello,
Alrighty.
gentlemen,
Hello.
and welcome back to Fury of the Outlands.
We are
This
furious.
we are not streaming this today. I do apologize, but the people that can stream it are not here. But that being said, welcome back. I'm your humble dungeon master, Dan. I am a theater freak and a TTRPG geek, and this is some other episode and a beginning of a new story arc. Woo!
Yay.
Now, unfortunately, we are only down to 2 of our players today instead of anything more than that. But you know what? Deal with it. I'm just being a complete ass, and you know what? I don't care.
You're like, you know what? Cry.
Just cry. I fucking dare you. No. Quick recap, quick shout-outs. Why do I always say recap first? Quick shout-outs. If you want to know what our lives are like outside of D&D, but not, or outside of this campaign, but not necessarily outside of D&D, go over to the Spotify podcast Guys. We are still outdated there. If you want to listen to music, our friend Waida does music, a bunch of stuff over on the music channels there. Our buddy Angel does art over at Tenchi Arts. We do have a 2-shot coming up at the end of this month, / the beginning of next month. Hopefully we get a good amount of players for that. I, at the very least, dare Carlo to play the rogue.
Why is that significant?
Because he hasn't played one yet.
Is he hesitant, or is he just hasn't gotten around to it?
No, I'm just an ass.
Oh, okay.
It's hey, I dared Lou to be a monk in our last Christmas one-shot, and I actually don't remember if you... And Lou, did you play monk for...
I don't think I was even there.
You were kind of there. It was the American Society for the Magically Gifted episode.
Yeah, I did not remember.
You were playing a pizza delivery guy. The most exhausted one, for sure.
I don't remember at all.
Yeah. There's always something that ends up being like a bit of a fever dream. But either way, hopefully we end up doing one-shots a little more often. I at the very least want to, because I have a couple of different tabletop systems that I actually would like to try. One that I've already tried and was kind of a success, but we'll not talk about that for now. So, recap. After dealing with Yuri's crisis, the party returned to Baron's Rest, or in Frost's case, possibly going there for the first time, and thought that they had their lives off for the rest of eternity. Turns out the universe lied to them. Literally the day after they got back to Baron's Rest, Icarus got and was asked to do a favor by his patron / brother, Zathras, the First Reaper. Zathras had tasked Icarus and his party to travel into Tiris to try and find a family that had entered a generation blood pact, or not necessarily blood pact, but a generational pact with the goddess of darkness, Bryneth. Icarus then went to the party and was like, hey, so we need to go to Tiris. Also find some alchemist's daughter. Turns out that alchemist's daughter was none other than Talia Bastion Devari, the sort of raider leader of the Sisters of the Flame. She revealed that her mother was an alchemist that once lived in the Republic of Tyrus, and because of family drama, which Icarus related to for some reason, her mother was cast out from not only her home, but the entire nation, and was exiled to the Outlands. After hearing what the party was about to do, Talia wrote them a note and told them to go to Checkpoint Outpost, asking for someone by the name of Atticus Blake. Upon leaving the Temple of the Sands, they made their way to Checkpoint Outpost, in which they had to basically go through border inspection without actually crossing the border. After a couple of questions, it was revealed through routine questions from the guards that not only was everyone's favorite new cleric, Frost, not only was he originally from Tyrus, but he happened to also be one of the marked members of Tyrian society that were exiled and basically arcanely branded so that it became fairly obvious. After this, the party was brought into Checkpoint, having their vehicle and, sadly, Icarus's horse Nugget left on the outskirts of the outpost while they were taken into some building that looked way cleaner than anything anyone else has seen out here, in which they were then put into a room and told to wait for Atticus Blake. That is where we are now. So, you all are sitting in this room. It's bare. It's kind of dull in color alone. It's slightly crowded, but yet the longer you sit here, the more it feels like you are by yourselves. Canon description of bringing up why the fuck the rest of the actual people aren't here. You wait for at first what feels like a few minutes. Few minutes suddenly turns to 20 minutes. 20 minutes suddenly turns to 45. 45 ends up turning into a little over an hour. You try to keep track of how long you've been sitting in here, but to be fair, there is nothing in here to tell time, nor can you see the sun. The only thing that you can really see are the silhouettes of a couple of guards standing out by where the door is, and even then you're not getting full silhouettes. After what feels like an eternity, and also please stop me if you all want to talk amongst yourselves during this time, so just putting that out there now. But after what feels like an eternity, the door once again opens. You all turn, and you see a figure making their way into the room onto the other side of the table that you all sit at. This figure looks to be human in nature, but his face is definitely a little bit more on the sort of has a bit more of sort of a sharp, angular look to it. His face is sort of rugged with stubble. You see a set of glasses upon the bridge of his nose. He's wearing a long trench coat, a heavy-duty one at that. And inside looks to be he's wearing some sort of formal wear. In his hands, you see is what looks to be a case, which he sets on the table. Clicks it open, opens it, and as he does, he brings out a collection of various different papers. He looks to the lot of you, starting at Frost, and then working around. He clears his throat and begins to talk in a gruff yet almost posh sounding voice. All right, let's see here. You all are trying to get into Tyrus, yes?
Aye.
Right. Well, I guess may as well get started. For the records, at this point, this is an interview. This is not an interrogation of any sort. Please do not try and act out an aggression. My name is Atticus Blake. I am an Inquisitor of the Silver Guard of the Republic of Tyrus. One thing, before we begin, I am sort of curious at this point. How is it that all of you managed to hear of my name so far out?
We were referred to by... who was it again?
Talia Bastion Davari.
By someone named Talia Bastion Davari.
His posture kind of lightly shifts as you say that, just kind of nods and then goes, Alright, guess she's calling in another favor. Alright, then... starting things off, may I have all of your names?
Ingelo Castamazillion. You may call me Frost.
I am Icarus. Just Icarus.
And you see everyone kind of goes through their names as well. You see he kind of writes all of this down, each on separate pieces of paper. And he goes, Alright. Now, for each one of you, do any of you have any connections to the nation of Tyrus? Family, friends, associates, such and the like?
I'm originally from Tyrus.
Just kind of pulls out another kind of note, kind of takes a look, looks at you, looks back at the note, and goes, I see. Well, Mr. Inglo Castamazillion, we might have to have a separate interview from the rest of this group, if that is all right with you.
Very well.
You see Atticus then looks to you, Icarus, and goes, And you? Do you have anyone in Tyrus that you know?
I don't think so.
You see that he kind of goes through the rest of everyone. Kristalina shakes her head. Bigby shakes his head. Arakion mentioned, then both Arakion and Yuri mentioned that they might have extended family within sort of the south, or at the very least in what may have been Drakon resettlements from 300 years ago. You see, Atticus kind of looks a little confused as to why they're referring to it in that sort of time period, but just kind of goes along with it. Right. Next question. Though at this point, this doesn't necessarily apply to Frost here. Are any of you criminals and or possess any form of a criminal record within Tyrus? Or with any Tyrian associates? Alright.
No.
Now, from our records, it seems like the most of you have not been to Tyrus before, or are born nationals of them, save for Frost here. So, I am curious. What is your reasoning for trying to cross into Tyrus?
Family business.
Mr. Icarus, you might need to clarify onto that, as, per your own statements, you have no family within Tyrus.
No, but my family has sent me to deal with business pertaining to what they do. What we do. Listen, I can't explain without you questioning so many things. My brother has sent me to deal with a family that has dealings with my family.
And for one, Mr. Icarus, I am an inquisitor. No matter what, I'm going to be asking questions.
Good for you.
Secondly, who might your brother be?
I'll be right back.
No worries.
What's his name?
Zathras.
Zathras. And Icarus just like turns and looks at him like, you see my point?
He definitely shifts a little bit and goes, alright then. Just kind of makes a note in his paperwork. And it looks like that the guards out front listed that you have a Spelltech cruiser and a Spellneck horse in your persons as well.
Yes.
Do you plan on taking either one or both of these across?
I fear for the structural integrity of your base if I do leave Nugget here. So yes, Nugget is coming with me. That's the horse.
Noted. I know things are pretty much scrapped together here in the Outlands, but do you by chance know the make and model of your Spelltech horse, or perhaps when he was originally built?
No. He's older than you are.
Right. Do you know who his previous owner was before he came into your possession?
Absolutely not. But he's
Okay.
whoever it is long dead.
Did you by chance happen to steal this horse from any certain person or persons within the Outlands?
No, he just showed up one day.
Alright. And he asks a couple of questions about the cruiser, to which Arakion answers, and I will not be role-playing. Goes.
I just talked to myself for a bit.
No. Nice try, buddy. You can do that when you're the DM. I've done that enough.
I will.
Afterwards, Atticus goes. So, let me be quite frank. Even though that you are associates of Talia, that I can try and expedite the paperwork to allow you all to cross into Tyrus. However, there are certain things at this point that are going to complicate how things are going. Firstly, the fact that you, Mr. Icarus, claim to be a blood relation to one of the arisen deities means we might have to contact the theocracy within Tyrus to confirm such things.
You can easily just confirm it.
Secondly, the fact that you are in possession of spell tech contraptions that could be deemed as dangerous to the citizens of Tyrus. There will be a investigation upon both the cruiser and the horse to fully categorize their extents, the materials they're made out of, the functions that they have built within them, modifications, such and the like.
You're gonna find bombs.
Excuse me?
My horse has bombs in his ass.
How many and how volatile are these bombs?
Good enough to make sure that we don't get chased around in the Outlands. Because out there is kind of a free-for-all. Have you ever been out there, or do you sit in your little walls all safe and nice?
I'll admit, I haven't traversed that far outside of the Outlands, but my duties don't just require me to stay within my walls, as you so colorfully put it.
I can make it more colorful.
There is one other situation that may complicate things within your group. That being of your dragonborn friend here. To the certain extents will be clarified later. However, there are
clarifying. There. Sorry, carry on.
However, I will have to contact my superiors within the Silver Guard to request exact specifics and to the certain extent as to why your friend here has been sent to the Outlands permanently. You see Atticus turns to you, Frost, and go, I will reconvene with you in perhaps maybe a little longer, but for the time being, there are still other questions that I would like to address to you, whether they be in private or along with your associates. That is entirely up to you.
If it's all the same, I would like to keep it private.
Very well. Now, let's see. I believe that is enough for a preliminary interview for the time being. I will have members of the Silver Guard catalog your horse and cruiser, and we will be setting you up within one of the housing areas within the outpost until such time as we can fully approve of allowing you to make your way through the border.
Very well.
Now, are there any questions that you would like to address to me about the process and/or anything in correlation?
I have a DM question. That
Shoot.
being, what did I miss?
Nothing too much. Just basically, Atticus sort of asking questions, trying to get as much information. Icarus being like, "Oh yeah, my horse has bombs in its butt."
I heard that part. Yeah.
But it's just basically been sort of routine questions and whatnot. Nothing that Frost would be sort of entirely surprised about in terms of...
What was his reaction to my brother's the Grim Reaper, basically?
Definitely concerned. He mentioned that he did mention that he has to reach out to some of sort of the theocratical factions within Tyrus to possibly confirm this. But to be fair, it definitely surprised him a little bit, but he seemed more concerned about the bombs in a horse's butt than he was about the fact that this guy is claiming to be brothers of the First Reaper.
That's so funny. I mean, it makes sense. It's like, okay, we'll deal with that later. You have bombs in your what?
Right.
It's hilarious. Thought you were being metaphorical. Yeah, he's just really gassy. He's got bombs in his butt. There's no actual. You thought I had actual bombs in his ass? What's wrong with you? You would die.
Oh my god. With that, so yeah, no, after all that, Atticus kind of turns to everyone and goes, "Now, are there any questions that you would like to ask about the process itself or anything in correlation to it?"
Would I know of the process that goes into it, either entering or leaving the Outlands?
I'm gonna say give me a history check.
Very well. Let me open. I'm on my phone right now.
Yeah, I was wondering why your audio was half shit.
It's because I'm wearing my headphones, but they're on public toilet settings. Alright. No, that's the wrong character. No, that's the wrong campaign.
It would help to be on the right campaign.
Yeah, I was, the last time I was on Start on my phone, it was for Angel's Two-Shot.
Yeah.
Or rather, the character in that. Here we go.
Yep, roll for history.
Oh yeah, I have exhaustion.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
I got a 10.
10. Okay, so you have a general idea. You never had any you never really did any jobs that didn't really do any jobs or cases that had major correlation with the Outlands or with Checkpoint to begin with. But they do kind of give but there is kind of an overall, for lack of better words, kind of an overall.
I would say I'm probably just familiar with the procedure, having not experienced it myself.
You're familiar with sort of the overall procedure of it. You're not kind of familiar with, like, the entire nitty-gritty of, like, every detail?
Aye. In that case, Frost is going to ask, what will become of our possessions pending our approval into the nation of Tyrus?
Well, considering that you all are wanting to take the horse and quite possibly the cruiser into across the border itself, a secondary form of paperwork is going to need to be approved, that of a license of ownership, proving that you didn't steal it, as the Outlands doesn't necessarily have anything along those lines to begin with either. As for the rest of your material possessions, at the very least, they will be cataloged here within Checkpoint, and upon your return here, will be cross-referenced. If you do end up returning here, it's entirely your decision, provided that you normally, in normal circumstances, most who do end up, most Outland, most those born within the Outlands do tend to stay within Tyrus. We have had some make their way across, but at the very least they will be cataloged, and to make sure that you don't have anything overly dangerous. We understand that those within the Outlands do need some means of being able to defend themselves against raiders and such, but unless it is proven to be overly destructive and harming to the overall populace, they will stay within your possession. However, in your case, Mr. Frost, there are going to be complications to which we will address.
Very well.
Now, any other questions?
No.
Turns to you, Icarus, and goes, and yourself? Anything to ask?
Nope.
Alright. I will get this paperwork expedited to the head office as soon as possible. The rest of you can follow the guards into your housing area. For the time being, I must ask Mr. Anglo-Castamazilian to stay here for additional questioning.
Very well then. How long will this take? The whole process.
It depends.
On what?
On what the records have on you and how honest you actually are in answering my questions.
Proceed. And I'm just going to sit there, arms crossed, leaning in the chair, and say no more.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the door opens, and the rest of you, which at this point is just Icarus, make your way out of the room and out of the building, and kind of traverse along to the residential barracks. We will cut to Icarus later, but in the meantime, Blue, you can mute yourself and, I don't know, do whatever you want.
Is it supposed to be like they can't hear? There's a deafen option on Discord, isn't it?
Not to that extremity, because at this point, cat's out of the bag to a certain extent. But, yeah. Okay, so Frost, the door closes and your party is gone. You sit there, and for a while, Atticus does stay there with you, and then eventually another guard comes out and he steps out of the room, leaving you by yourself.
Sorry, could you repeat that? My shitty connection kind of cut out a single word that sounds like it was crucial.
God damn it.
It was just for like a moment. It was like right before he left something.
So yeah, no, your party is left at this point. Atticus stays kind of in the room with you for a few minutes, not saying anything, but just kind of looking at you and the paperwork that he currently has from everything from the previous interview. Eventually, a guard does come out to speak with Atticus, and he does step out of the room, leaving you by yourself for the time being.
I break out. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Eventually, time does go by a little bit further, and you sit there for a while, and then Atticus ends up coming back into the room and closing the door. And as he does, I need you to make me a charisma saving throw.
Oh boy, alright. One-handed. Action roll, charisma. That is a 14.
14, okay. Atticus sits down across from you once again. This time with another file in his hands. This one a little thicker. He opens it up and starts looking through the paperwork. Folding some of the moving some of the papers outward and kind of looking. And you do, like, as you do, from, like, quick glances at first, you see that a good chunk of what he's reading looks like it is redacted. But as he is, like, not all of it is redacted, but there are a good chunk of sections that are just blacked out. As he does, he is just kind of sitting there and is asking you questions, and as he's asking, for some reason you have kind of this compulsion to tell the truth, which honestly you do anyway. But now it's kind of more, but now that feeling is kind of more in force.
I can sense the magical compulsion as well as my moral compulsion.
You don't know if it's a magical compulsion. You just know that now you really should tell the truth, and you cannot lie at this point.
Using pheromones.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. So, yeah, Atticus is kind of looking through, and he goes, "So, you used to be an Inquisitor as well, ain't that right?"
Yes, I was. Inspector.
See, all of these cases that you did here seem to be redacted for the most part.
I had a lot of high-profile cases.
Records say here that you were accused of treason.
From a certain point of view, yes.
And what would your point of view be in this case?
My perspective is that while treason was committed, I was not the one committing.
There's a lot of evidence against you saying otherwise.
Evidence, in my experience, can be fabricated.
You know, I actually did a little reading about your trial when it was first going on. It was seen as a stain within our division of the guard.
And what do you think?
Well, at this point, what I think doesn't necessarily matter. What matters is that, according to the Republic, you have no right to make your way back into the nation without causing an even bigger uproar than your trial did.
And what does that mean to you and to our process here?
Well, for one, it definitely complicates things. I mean, treason, death of a comrade. It
Is there anything that we can...
puts me in a bit of a bind here, seeing as Talia was the one that asked for the favor. But let me ask you this. Did she know that you were once a member of the Guard and that you are a member of the Marked? Before she called in this favor?
No, we did not. Nobody does. Nobody in the Outlands, that is.
Have you made any contact with any other members of the Marked, or the Marked Militia, perhaps?
The Marked Militia, in my view, are a bunch of radical extremists who are bitter about their crimes and their sentence set forth upon them for their crimes. I do not associate with them in any way because I am not one of them, truly.
Well, in any other situation I'd call bullshit, but as one inquisitor to another, I'll let you know that as of right now, this room is activated to where you are compelled to tell the truth.
Yes, I thought I could sense that. I've used it myself many times in other situations, of course. I am familiar with its compelling, with its compulsive.
You're a magic user.
Yeah. I found solace under the clergy of Hell, god of protection, the god of protecting.
That's
He
one
grants me strength.
Well, I'll admit that's one I haven't quite heard of.
He is a newer god.
And a risen deity.
Yes.
Right. You say you came into his calling after you were sent here to the Outlands?
I did. Their people needed someone with actual experience in protecting others. And they needed a bit of protecting themselves when we first met.
Did you have any form of magical skill before you were tried and exiled?
I was familiar with its works, but never personally used it prior to my arrival in the Outlands. I've used enchanted spells, enchanted tools, and the services of other spellcasters within our ranks, but I myself was not privy to its knowledge until after I arrived.
I see. Well, this might actually be even more complicated. Like I said, the severity of your crime does make it close to impossible for full authorization into Tyrus, but as you have admitted to being part of a clergy, that does complicate things to where a discussion with the theocratical aspects of the Republic need to be taken into account. There is also a chance of a secondary trial to be had on whether or not you should be allowed within Tyrus, though at that point it may end up being more of a formality than a necessity. Basically, what it would entail is the idea of whether or not you should be allowed temporarily to be back in the nation, being able to take part in whatever activities you wish to do with certain extent. I think of it as a parole trial, for lack of better words, for criminals who aren't sent to the Outlands. However, there are many things here that will be taken into account, and there are perhaps a few more restrictions in this case than it would be for a standard criminal.
Let me ask you a question, Inquisitor.
Of course.
Are you familiar with the details of my case?
I know what the broadsheets were able to advertise in the moments of your trial, and what other bits of information are here within your file. However, I am not able to read most of the redacted information within this file.
Let me ask you a different question then, in response to that. Are the ones who are in charge of the Inspector's Division still the same as they were all those years ago?
DM, this is going to be the DM asking here. How long do you think it would have been since, to just kind of make a point here, how long has it been since Frost's trial within Tyrus?
One moment. He is 28. All right, let me roll a d20. No, not a d20, a d12. And I'll get back to you.
All right, no worries.
It has been 6 years since my
6
trial.
years. I can say at the very least that in terms of the Inquisitors, we it is quite possible that the it is possible that the Chief Inquisitor is the same as it was 6 years ago. I do know that the War Master has been the same. And as for Head of the Mistblades, well, you can never be too certain. They don't exactly keep an itinerary.
I'm just respecting my computer.
All right.
Hey, I can hear you now.
Yeah, no, switching back to my computer. Then what I asked was like whether the Inspector Division of the Silver Guard, or not Silver Guard, of the Inquisitors, is still has the same leadership.
See, for the Inspector's branch, I do believe that actually did have a change of command a couple of years ago or so, but the Chief Inspector at that point, I believe, did end up getting promoted at that point.
Then I can tell you that this trial that you state will determine my eligibility to return to Tyrus. I can already tell you the results of this trial, and that is decidedly no. I will not be allowed it. May I, what's the word I'm looking for? May I share with you some knowledge of my case? My case was a setup from the very beginning. There was no way that I could have possibly been found innocent in that trial. There's no way that I could have presented any evidence that they wouldn't have countered. Because there are certain forces at work set against the common good. And if those people are still in charge, or, as you say, promoted, then my chances of returning to Tyrus through the standard channels is nearly impossible. Because they will not allow what I know back into Tyrus.
Give me a persuasion check.
Yeah, he's not convinced. I'm just kidding. He's like, I don't believe you. Fuck you. Persuasion. Come on, do me right. Do me right. That's a 14.
14? Okay. So, you watch as Atticus is definitely keeping his eye on your body language as you're saying all this, waiting for whatever the magic is within the room to maybe catch you and choke, cause you to choke and whatnot. But you say all this as firm and as honest, and it does create some manner of discomfort. And to which he then closes the file, sets it in his case, and goes, "Unfortunately, you and I are both in agreement on that, friend."
Is there anything that can be done about this?
Without invoking a secondary investigation of the matter, I am not entirely certain that, at the very least in any legal standpoint. But certain aspects of both your and your associates' reasonings for traversing cause for a lot of discussion to be had of your group as a whole. With you as an individual, I am fairly certain that if you walked through the border right now, there is a good chance of you being struck down as soon as you stepped onto Tyrian soil.
Indeed.
However, there is a chance that whoever was the chief inspector back in your time period, who is at this point probably now the chief inquisitor, because of the fact of his high standing within the faction, that he may not oversee every hearing within this matter. However, if your name does end up on his desk, then I hope the gods have mercy on you. Regardless, I will still send the paperwork in for a trial to be had. Whether or not it goes into succession or whether or not it will be immediately refused will be unknown until for the time being. However, the offices of the Chief Inquisitor are set in Silverthorn City, which, thankfully for you, is on the other side of the nation, to the west. Getting information of this importance is difficult to do over spell tech sources or through transportation. There is a high chance of it taking quite a while for the information to get across. Whereas with the paperwork for just authorizing you and your associates to get within the nation, will just require us to speak with the officers outside of the wall.
Sorry, you kind of cut out for a second. The office is outside of what?
The necessary means to try and authorize getting appropriate documents for the party, at least, to traverse across the wall, to traverse into the nation. The offices in that instance are literally just on the other side of the border wall.
Mm-hmm. I see what he's putting down.
However, there is one other thing that would take into account for the guard's immediate action, and that would be the mark that you now bear. It will cause an alert within the guard itself, and as soon as you step through, so that would be a bit of a problem in itself. Normally, the protocols for such an instance is that if a exiled criminal is seeking to make their way through and is bearing the arcane brand, depending on the severity of their crime and the aforementioned trial, the mark itself is either covered by a dispelling band, which will temporarily render the mark inert, or if the jury sees that the criminal is redeemed, The mark itself will be removed. However, that requires an Archmage's approval in such matters.
Which requires more paperwork and bureaucracy, yes.
Getting the Dispelling Band itself, at the very least, is less paperwork, to which the authorizing permit I myself can fill out now. However, it will still take a few days' time to at least get the other paperwork settled, not including that of your trial.
Aye.
And if you are associates of Talia, then I suggest that you and your friends make your way to the city-state of Willowdale as soon as you make your way across. Thankfully, it's not
Willowdale?
far. Yes, one of the city-states within the Republic itself. Thankfully, it is within the eastern side of the nation, so it is not going to be as much of a travel as certain documents. Besides, with what your friend had said about the First Reaper and the fact that Talia herself is calling in a favor, there is a high chance that the family that your friend seeks might be one of the families within the city there.
What was the name of the city again?
Willowdale.
Willowdale.
Now, I do believe that the rest of the Silver Guard has taken a hold of most of your items.
And I can assume that we won't be expecting those back until after approval to cross.
At the very least, for approval to cross. Depending on if another Inquisitor or, gods forbid, a Mistblade is within the outpost itself, then it might end up being a little more difficult, but pray that is not entirely the case here.
You said Willowdale, right?
Willowdale, yes.
Cool. Just making sure.
One
Just
word.
writing it down.
Yeah. Now, is there anything else you would like to ask?
Where do your allegiances lie in the justice of our republic?
My allegiance, first and foremost, is to the truth. Second, is to the government itself. However, I will admit that there are some moments where a choice does need to be made. Whether to align with the truth, answers of truth, and the answers of the government. You yourself have admitted that you will choose truth every single time, as an Inquisitor should. I try to attain such beliefs, such standards.
You'll do all right. Thank you for your understanding.
Thank you for, well, your service, at the very least. Inspector. You may join the rest of your friends in the residential barracks now. He points over to the door, which opens, and you see a member of the guard standing there waiting to escort you.
I stand and I reach a hand out to God, what's his name?
Atticus.
Atticus.
Yeah. He stands up at the same time as you do and takes a quick pause looking at your hand before accepting it and shaking it.
Wait. Hang on a second. Let me turn on my camera. I've got a funny thing.
Oh no. Okay, I'm because I'm screen recording right now. I don't have it aimed at Discord right now. So if I do switch it over to Discord, it will show your face in the recording.
That's fine. But I gotta
Alright.
turn on the camera first.
Yeah, no, that might help.
This is just a silly little thing.
Hey, there's
Okay.
Dusk.
Hi. All right. Hang on. All right. I reach out a hand.
Oh my god. Oh, that's fucking amazing.
It's just my normal hand. It's not like it's bladed or anything. It's just
No.
dragonborn hand.
Yeah, Dragonborn hand. Dude, that's fucking great. He still accepts it, shakes it.
I rip his arm off. I'm just kidding.
God, no. And then you are escorted out of the room in the building itself and over to the residential barracks. Now we can have both of you come back in, finally. So, the residential barracks within the outpost itself kind of stand in sort of the middle area between the military side and, for lack of better words, the civilian side of the outpost. It looks like most of the buildings themselves that are chosen for residentials are basically are almost filled to the brim. You see that they're not shabbily made like you would see like buildings you would see within like the Outlands themselves, but they're very minimalist for sure. Sort of like standard wooden frames, themselves, no like real actual doors 100%. The windows themselves are just basically strips of canvas that are bolted to the top of a frame and have a log of some sort to just kind of weight the canvas down so it kind of closes and whatnot. The rooms themselves are filled with cots that have at least someone in them. Various various races and peoples and whatnot. Like you see a half orc in one. You see a group of kobolds in another. The ones that Bigby don't recognize, thankfully. You see a family of you see like a group of nomads that look like they're in the same group, just kind of huddled together in one area. You see a collection of Yuan-ti in another. It like the list goes on. The section that you guys go to is kind of on the furthest end. And you see that because of the fact that your group is fairly fucking large, as it's like, what, 7 people normally? 6? 7? I lost
About.
count.
I think I'm the
Yeah,
the
so,
newest.
yeah,
Yeah.
Arakion, Yuri, Frost, Bigby, Icarus, Crystalina. Yeah, no, that's 6. God fucking hell.
God fucking hell.
Yeah, God fucking hell. So you get a good chunk of one of the, chunk of one of these barrack buildings, save for what looks to be like 3 or 4 other people that are in the area itself. Right. Icarus, you get there. You and the rest of the party get there first. You see that, along with the rest of you and the rest of the party itself, there's like, you see the like 3 other people that are here within the building itself, and like you wait for a little bit, but it feels like it takes forever, and then next thing you know, you see Frost making his way over to the rest of you guys with a couple of guards, like one behind, a couple of guards, one in front of him, and then there's like 2 behind him, and they escort him over to your building and then leave, and then as soon as Frost makes his way in, just kind of leaves you all.
Hello?
Do we still have Lou?
Lou?
Sorry, what?
Oh, hey, there you are. Okay, so you are in a kind of, you were in like one of these barrack buildings. Fairly simplistic for sure, for the most part. Primarily made out of wood, canvas windows, not really a door. Along with you and your party, there are 3 other people that are residing in this building itself. For the most part, it's just you, the party, and these people for a good bit, and then like after maybe 45 minutes or so, you see that Frost is escorted over here to the rest of you guys.
Eh,
Meh. I am unimportant.
Damn. See, this is... Yeah, so Arakion just kind of looks over to you, Frost, and go, care to tell us what that was all about?
In due time.
Well, did the guy at least tell you how long we're gonna be here?
It may be a few days. He has to deal with some complicated issues and paperwork.
Bigby just kind of looks up and is like, okay, I'm still confused. Why does paper have to be important as to why we can go across or not? Roz, I'm
Records, records and information. They hold the key to one of the strongest aspects of Tyrus, our network of communication.
Weird. Alright.
It is part of what holds our nation together. and simultaneously tears it apart.
You, like, as you're saying this, you watch as one of the other people within this building kind of look over to you. You see that it is a tiefling, sort of a brownish skin and whatnot, kind of looks like after kind of talking with their associates and whatnot, kind of look over and go, kind of in broken English, is like, uh, excuse me, sorry to interrupt, but you. It points to you, Frost, and it's like, you, Tiris, right?
Once.
You, you can help? That starts speaking in a language over to one of the others. Actually, I think yeah, no, Icarus, you recognize the language that the tiefling is speaking. They're speaking in Infernal over to one of the others. You see that one of the other figures, not a, it looks to be like a half elf of some sort, is like, sorry, my friends and I, we have been here for a while, and nobody would like to talk to us about what's going on. Uh, my friend, he is trying to find a family member that supposedly lives in Tiris, but nobody has been able to give us any information about it, or been able to tell us whether or not we can make our way across. We have just been here for a while.
Who is this family member?
You see the half-elf looks over to the tiefling, speaks in Infernal and whatnot. The tiefling responds to the halfling in kind of this translation situation. The half-elf goes, apparently, his mother and half-brother traveled across to Tiris as part of it speaks again in Infernal to double check on something. As you can tell, it's a question. Tiefling just kind of nods and it's like, apparently came to Tiris originally as part of a part of a circus group of some sort. And his half-brother had sent letters and whatnot every once in a while, saying that they managed to create a business, like a lounge or something. I don't know. I'm sorry, my Infernal is not always the best, but and the half-brother has been trying to get my friend here to come across and join as well, but I don't know, things have been they've been at a halt. We've been talked to, like, maybe a couple members of the guard for as long as we've been here, and we haven't really gotten any information and whatnot.
Did you say something? Because I couldn't hear you at all.
Oh my fucking god, really?
He was talked to by the guard a number of times, but that's where it stopped.
Okay, yeah, no, I didn't say anything after that.
Oh, okay. I thought I saw the Discord square light up.
That might have been because I was rolling a fucking nickel around on the counter.
I see.
But yes, my friend, his family, they they have done, sort of, they have done like a circus traveling performance every once in a bit. Um, they are, though it's kind of ended up being disbanded after realizing that, well, for one, raiders out here don't really care about the circus. Um, are any of you familiar with the, uh, are any of you familiar with the Rosewood Menagerie, by any chance?
I'm gonna make a history check.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do. I rolled a 17.
17. Okay, so... Oh, damn. So, for both of you, at the very least here within the Outlands, you are familiar with the Rosewood Menagerie Circus, as it is like one of the only, if not one of the only few circus bands that have like stayed within the Outlands for the most part. It disbanded maybe a couple of years back because of the fact that after their last performance, there was they somehow managed to make their way into the outskirts of Reaver territory, and a lot of their stuff ended up being destroyed. Like, a lot of their supplies had ended up being destroyed to the point where the ringleader decided to disband. Frost, you're also, like, from just being in, like, even though it was 6 years, you are also kind of familiar with the name Rosewood, as you remember, like, granted, you had kind of bounced back and forth between city-states quite a bit during your career, but you do remember you do remember hearing someone by the name of Rosewood working within a lounge or club somewhere in one of the city-states. Not Willowdale, you know that, but you do know that it was in one of the city-states that you did hear the name bring up as being a uh kind of putting a spotlight to a new act, but you don't, because of the fact that this was more than 6 years ago, you're not entirely sure where this person might be now, or whether or not they actually succeeded in their career.
I'm afraid I am familiar with your group, but I'm afraid that is all I know. I don't know the whereabouts of your family member. Are you trying to get into the Outlands or into Tyrus?
We're trying to get into Tyrus. My friend here, like I said, had been getting letters from his half-brother for a while, and we had been trying to make our way across and whatnot, but for some reason like I said, it is taking quite a while, and when we try and ask one of the guard members of one of the soldiers, they just simply tell us to wait and be patient.
I am afraid that is all I can say as well. It may be a while. This system does not work well for everyone.
I see. Well, then you do not have any. You do not have any standing or anything that might be able to help?
No longer. Once I did, but no longer.
I see. Well, thank you for talking to us, at least. We've tried some of the others in some of the other barracks, but honestly, they're almost all in a similar position as us for the most part.
When the moment. Decision roll. Okay. He's gonna sit and ponder for a moment, and then he looks up and he says, "The next time I see the Inquisitor, I will make an inquiry. But I cannot guarantee that anything will come of it."
Well, I do appreciate the offer at the very least. You you watch as the half elf and the tiefling stand up, conversing with each other in Infernal. The half elf comforting the tiefling at the very least. Decide to make their way out. Maybe to get some air, get something to eat. You're not entirely sure. But the third person stays for the most part. And as soon as the others leave, you hear the voice of the third person go, "Well, I'll admit, I wasn't quite expecting that sort of bit to happen, but things are as they are." And you watch as this person kind of removes removes kind of the blankets and stuff, obscuring them. And it's none other than the Yuan-Ti that everyone loves and hates, Amos Crowley.
I don't know who that is.
Amos Crowley is the one Yuan-Ti that you first interacted with when you first came into the campaign. But you, at the very least, Frost would know that Amos Crowley is sort of the one Yuan-Ti that has been known for being kind of a bit of an information broker, among other things.
Do you know something that we do not?
Well, at the very least, the two lovely people that you were just conversing with, well, for one, they are who they say they are. Both of them were a part of the Rosewood Menagerie for a time at the time. And the tiefling, at the very least, does have a half-brother. I do know that. However, to a certain extent. But you, my dragonborn friend, I was not expecting to hear about you for the most part. I mean, last time we met, you did kind of keep to yourself, and honestly, I'm all for that to a certain extent. But, ironically enough, I'm not here to truly converse with you. But as a matter of fact, I am here to talk to him. And you watch as Crowley points over to Icarus.
Yeah.
Well, I'll admit it has been quite a while since I last saw you, and not necessarily because of the fact that I once caught you at the Abbey months ago, but I'll admit your aura isn't quite as bright as it used to be. You know what, this is kind of gonna get a little bit awkward, and I don't want people to listen entirely. You see he snaps his fingers, and you watch as your surrounding areas end up being tinted in browns and reds. You both feel as if your bodies are almost being for a little bit almost being lurched, but you're sitting in the exact same place. And as that happens, and you kind of look at your surroundings, you watch as Crowley just kind of takes a deep breath, and you watch his demeanor just change entirely as his voice deepens and just goes, "Ah, now that's better." He takes off the pair of spectacles that, for some reason, he's been wearing this entire fucking time. And the one thing you notice is that while normal eyes are white, his
Yeah,
are
it's
entirely...
Asmodeus.
Yes, it's Asmodeus. Fuck you. Let me do my thing here.
I got that as soon as he showed up.
You watch as his eyes are...
And I'm so sorry, I have to be right back.
Oh, you dick. Alright. Well, that means you can stop interrupting me. You watch as Crowley's eyes, as you now look at them, are all black, save for what look to be glowing gold and red irises. Like, literally glowing. As the shades come off, you watch as his skin kind of turns a little deeper shade of red, and a set of horns kind of start to kind of come out from his head a little bit and whatnot. As he goes, I'll admit, I do enjoy that mortal appearance, but it's like wearing a suit of armor for too long. It just ends up stifling you.
And who might you be?
Well, you did know me as Amos Crowley, which is an alias, but my real name is Asmodeus, King of Hell.
What?
And brothers to the First Reaper, to a certain extent. The god, to a certain extent, Caldres, the first Dragonborn. And to him. Just kind of points over to Icarus, who is just kind of rolling his fucking eyes.
You're like, gosh, you have to be so dramatic.
Now, I'll admit, I could have come by any time I've wanted to see you, but I've been a little preoccupied on my own matters for the most part, and not necessarily wondering as to what my brothers are up to. But at the very least, one thing I do come for is to give a bit of warning to my brother here. Whenever he shows up.
My brother's kind of got into a comatose state. It happens a lot. Just give it a moment. He has epilepsy.
No, to be fair, I've been sitting on this reveal for a while. Yeah, because I am that way.
Fair.
Yeah. And also, when I was first building this campaign, I was on a bit of a Good Omens binge, so...
Ah.
Because there is actually a joke in season 1 of Good Omens where Crowley is saying, like, after for the longest time being called Crowley, spelling's bullshit and whatnot. He was saying that he was going to change his name, and the other guy, who ironically is an angel, is like, "Oh, what'd you end up changing your name to? Asmodeus?" So I literally played off of that fucking joke. Just in reverse.
Nice.
Oh.
My actual name is Asmodeus, but I prefer Crowley.
Dude.
Whereas it's actually like, everyone keeps getting my name Crowley wrong, so I'm just going to call myself Asmodeus. I haven't seen that show, but it looks amusing as hell.
You should. Okay, wait, is Lou back?
Nope.
Damn it.
Alright, I'm going to go get something that I forgot to get when I was making my hot chocolate, and that is the lid.
Oh my god.
I'll be just a second. It's right over here. You can still hear me.
Wait, how long?
Okay, I'm back.
Okay, you're back. Okay, so, okay, so you're back. So, Asmodeus goes. Last thing Asmodeus said was, "For the most part, the reason I'm here is to offer a warning, at the very least, to my brother here."
And yeah, continue before I send you home.
What does that mean?
Well, hello to you too, Icarus.
You don't get a hello. Now hurry up.
No lost love amongst brothers, I see.
Are you saying that in character?
Yes, actually, I'm gonna say that in character, but in a more serious, sarcastic tone.
Asmodeus kind of sighs and is like, "I suppose not, but then again, he was the youngest of us."
And isn't it the older brothers' duty to help and protect their younger brothers?
Actually, to be fair, we're not entirely sure whether Zathras or I are the oldest. We're not twins, but it's not entirely...
You're still older than me, and you did jack shit.
Well, I guess it depends. Not in character. It depends on your point of view. Some big brothers take it as their job to beat the shit out of little brother.
That's actually fair. Not mine, though. I love my brother. Anyway, Asmodeus just kind of looks to you and is like, "You were the one that dug your own grave, brother. It's not my fault."
I wasn't digging a grave. I was doing the right thing. Anyway, give me your warning so you can fuck off.
Zathras is right. Your language has gotten more colorful since you've been down here. Again.
And guess what? You're here too. You're meant to be doing your job, which you're not doing. So I don't want to be lectured by someone who can't even maintain their job. they're too busy running around pretending to be other people because I bet you're so fucking bored with your life that you have to resort to role-playing different characters to feel better.
Oh
For
my
you-
Yes.
lord. You are on a roll, I gotta say.
Yeah, he is.
Oh,
he
you
is.
haven't heard. It was before Daniel got here, but I don't know if there's a video of it, but I think it was like half an hour that I kept monologue going, and I was properly digging into someone.
A half-hour monologue, alright.
It wasn't like a full half hour, but it was like, it was pretty. I was lecturing someone.
Yeah. Anyway, you see Asmodeus definitely is looking mad, and he goes, I have more than one duty than just taking care of hell, and for your information, one of those duties unfortunately means I have to find someone who unfortunately happens to also be my bastard of a child.
Someone fucked you willingly?
And nobody has you?
I'm not interested in it.
That's not a very good defense sometimes.
Hey, this is
No,
Asmodeus.
Icarus is asexual. He
Oh,
does
okay,
it.
cool.
He finds it gross. He's not interested.
That's true.
So it is a very good defense. He's not. Nope.
Anyway, so after that, Asmodeus just kind of sighs and is like, alright. Conversation about that later. Anyway, my point is...
Someone fucked you with. I'm sorry, that I'm just dying from that line.
Yeah, sorry, I got someone texting me now.
Tell him to go away. We're playing D&D. Oh, my girlfriend texted me. I'm just kidding.
I've been texting my boy this entire time.
Yeah, I texted my girlfriend once earlier.
Oh, yeah, no, go and flaunt that you have significant others, you bastards. No.
Listen, mine's rather new, okay? But I love her
Anyway.
very much.
So, anyway, Asmodeus kind of looks to you all and goes, alright, as for the warning, at the very least, I know that Zathras is planning something. To be fair, he usually is, if he's not off snatching dead souls and whatever, but I know at the very least what your standings are about our mother. And
Yeah, she's a bitch.
High opinions, this one.
Regardless, despite the fact that you believe that I was not always there for you, which is possibly accurate, I do still want to ensure that you don't end up doing something even more stupid than you already have.
Usually you continue the sentence, you don't just stop and stare at me.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was half expecting you to come up with another witty remark.
How can I? You wouldn't get it, you're too stupid.
Anyway, you've been on this material plane for how long now, Icarus?
I stopped counting.
Don't you believe that you've already punished yourself enough with your idiot?
I'm not punishing myself. It's fucking mother that's punishing me. Thank you very much. And honestly, I'm not too sure this is really a punishment for me anymore because I don't want to go back.
I'm just gonna...
Yeah, Frosty's just kind of sitting there.
He's just...
like, oh no.
Yeah, because it's
not just family drama, it's family drama between immortals, and I don't want to get
gods and
smoked.
immortals, yeah. It's you don't, yeah, no, it's not, you don't get in between.
She's already pissed about whatever you caused in the Outlands between the Night Heralds, which... she's blaming you for that, by the way. if you keep up against this aggression towards her, you're just gonna end up digging your own grave to the point where next time, if she decides to invoke wrath on you yet again, it may not just end with you once again being mortal to learn your lesson. You might end up actually being cast out into God knows what other planes or even out of existence. And while we may have our disagreements, you are still my brother.
Hey, guess what? You're gonna hate me, but I wasn't listening because my nan randomly called me and I thought she was dying. She doesn't call me, and then she called me just to say hi, and I was like,
God
"Are you dead? Are you dying?" I'm sorry. I need you to repeat. I'm sorry. Listen, usually I would say like, "Sorry, I gotta go," but she doesn't call me, and I know she's home alone right now. And like
Man.
last month, she fell down the stairs, and
Oh,
so I was just
no.
like, "Why are you calling me?" Fine. But I just had a mini heart attack and just was like, "Hell yeah, what's up? You good?"
Yeah, no, that's fair. Anyway, to be fair, I could still see Icarus using that as an excuse, as a comment, to which Asmodeus
Sorry, my nan
just...
called me.
Sorry, I wasn't
You
listening.
don't have
Nana
to-
called. She says, "Go fuck
Asmodeus-
yourself."
Yeah, Asmodeus just kind of sighs and he's like, well, also, do you even care that Lilith decided to end up taking your position after you were exiled?
As a general in an army,
Yes.
wasn't really much of a position. It's just murder all day.
Well, be that
Lilith
as it
is strong enough to do whatever the fuck she wants. If she didn't want to be there, she would say so. And do something about it. So, up
Not-
yours.
Not every immortal has the same opinions as you do, Icarus.
I'm aware. That's how we end up in this fucking wars constantly. Because if they did, everybody would stop killing each other. And I would have a very peaceful life.
So I take it there's no way I can convince you to actually apologize to Mother.
Why would I? Oh, sorry, Mother. I'm sorry that I wouldn't kill children. I'm so sorry. And I'm so sorry you ripped the wings from my back as punishment. I'm so sorry. How about go fuck yourself? Again. Maybe this time I won't miss with the spear.
I don't know if you have like the stream. I don't think you do. I think you swap.
No,
you
it's
have
still
it.
going. It's still going.
So it's still
We're
on Discord.
recording.
And
We're
it's
still
it's
recording.
it's still on Discord, so it's still showing my face, and all my face is so expressive.
Thankfully, I don't have it on the Discord.
Aw.
I have it on. I have it on the Q screen. Anyway, Asmodeus just kind of sighs and he's like, "People think Keldris is the irresponsible one." Very well, if you want to continue on this path, just... I'd say don't do anything stupid, but unfortunately I'm fairly certain it's too late.
No, I won't be doing anything stupid because you take all the stupid with you.
I somehow knew you were gonna say that eventually.
Yeah, no, even
Because
Asmodeus...
I said that last
you
time.
Okay, you see Asmodeus
It's his thing.
You see Asmodeus lightly break his sort of demeanor, whatnot, just kind of sighs, and he's like, okay, seriously. You've been saying that ever since we were young. Why can you never think of better comebacks, for crying out loud?
Because it makes you react like that, idiot. Why do I need a new one when this one works perfectly well? How's the headache? You got it yet? I hope so.
If they
I hope
broke,
you feel
don't
just
fix
a
it sort of
sliver of
vibe.
pain of what I feel.
What? Alright, well, if you weren't going to listen to me, then get yourself killed. I unfortunately have a child to fight, and this time it's not actually you.
I'm not a child!
Compared to me and Zathras, yes you are. And he just
Oh,
starts
then why did you let me fight in a war, asshole?
You weren't the only one fighting.
No, I wasn't, and that was the problem. But no one sees that but me.
Right, well, if we're gonna have this argument, then I'd rather it not be in front of people who have no idea what we are talking about.
Oh, he's fine.
Just kind of.
Are you talking about Frost?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone is just kind of looking around. And it's like, what the fuck? You see, Arakion is like slowly reaching for his gun.
Oh, he's like definitely gonna try and shoot you.
Oh yeah. Asmodeus goes, well, if you're going to be stupid, there's a good chance I'm going to run into you eventually anyway. So, farewell, brother. Hope you actually live this time to do something stupid. Mortals.
I'm still alive. That fucking doesn't work. That only works if I'm dead, but I'm alive. So now you just sound like an idiot. You can't even do sends off properly.
I'm in charge of punishing dead souls within hell. You really think I send people off? That's Zathras' job.
Yeah, but you say you're in charge, but you're here. And I'm tormenting you, so...
Lucian can take care of things while I'm gone. He's not that inept.
Yeah, but it's still your job. What are you, the manager?
I want to say, what are you, the Karen? But that's not gonna work in this fucking setting.
No, that's gonna get that's gonna get him punched.
Yes. Anyway, so at this point you can see that Asmodeus is fairly done, to which he goes, Mortal, nice to meet you. Hopefully we can meet in a different circumstance.
The King of Hell meeting me. Interesting.
He means he can't wait to torture you. Because he's not a nice person, he's an asshole. Don't listen to him. Fuck off!
Lovely seeing you too, brother. And
Nah, you're still a fucking stinking pile of horseshit. Get out!
he starts to walk off, in which he disappears in a column of flame. And then the world comes back to as it should be, without Asmodeus and in the right color hue.
Without Asmodeus.
I think that's where we're going to leave today's session, because... just because. So, thank you, Lou, for yelling at Asmodeus, finally. That was fun. Thank you both for playing. Thank everyone on YouTube for watching this. Hopefully I can actually get this uploaded without it fucking end up deleting itself like the one-shot did. I don't know how the fuck that happened, but either way, we will see you guys
It made me very sad.
It made me very sad, because that was funny. Me and Angel were rednecks. Anyway, hope to see you guys next week, where we actually end up streaming this. Bye!
Bye!